In this video, we're going to show you how to construct your spinnaker in exactly the same way you've seen previously, but with webbing and D-rings. When constructing this spinnaker with rings and webbing, you'll take 3 patch assemblies and apply the Super 77 spray adhesive or seam stick, and then baste those 3 patch assemblies together. Now we're going to be using webbing here to secure the D-ring to this corner. So we use a hot knife and just cut 2 lengths of webbing, then apply double-sided tape to the webbing to help hold it in place prior to sewing. This is the head of the spinnaker. We'll truncate the head where this D-ring fits with a hot knife or with scissors. On the back side of this 3-layer patch assembly, we'll adhere the webbing with that double-sided tape, approximately the same way as Jim is doing here in the video. By keeping the webbing in the center of the assembly and installing that D-ring, we avoid having to sew through multiple layers of webbing plus the Dacron patch assembly. If your sewing machine balks at sewing through multiple layers of webbing, this is a good way to do it. Now we take that second leg of webbing and attach it just as shown here in the video. There's the bottom side. By using the double-sided tape, we can ensure that the webbing goes down nice and taut and hard against that D-ring. So Jim's just repositioning it here so we get a nice firm fit. Take it over to your sewing machine. We're sewing with the UltraFeed LSZ-1 sewing machine, and we're putting a zigzag right next to that D-ring base. And then Jim just turns it around and he sews down each one of the legs of webbing. You can do it once or twice if you so desire. And we apologize for this bendable LED light. It kind of makes the video grayish blue. We apologize for that. Notice how Jim keeps the needle buried in the fabric, then lowers the foot to make sharp turns. By doing that, you pivot on the thickest part of the needle, and you can reposition your fabric to get it to sew exactly where you want it. There's what it looks like when it's done. Jim's done 2 passes on one and only a single pass on 3 of those legs. There's the bottom side. This is quite sufficient for this size sail. Now we'll truncate the actual spinnaker to make sure that this D-ring just sits nice and flat along that edge. Now he'll take Dacron assembly and 1 nylon assembly to match the sail. He will apply Super 77 spray adhesive to the Dacron patch assembly that was sewn with the webbing. Stick that down. Now he takes his Dacron patch, just the single layer, and the nylon ripstop, and coats that with Super 77 spray adhesive, and then carefully base it down in place. Remember that if you get bubbles or wrinkles, you can always reapply this. It peels up quite nicely as long as you do get to it right away, but you'll be able to reapply it several times to get any wrinkles or bubbles out of the sail assembly. And here's what it looks like when it's done. You'll never have all the wrinkles out because there's actually shape in the sail. Now hold this patch assembly up to the light so you can see the patches underneath, and then mark them with the pencil as a reference point for sewing. Now, after this patch assembly is put on, you need to install the stay tapes, which we showed in video 2. So do that next, and then we'll concentrate here on the leather chafe protection. We're going to use leather for chafe protection around that D-ring, so we're just taking some leather here and cutting it into a butterfly shape. You'll see that here in the video. And we'll apply that to this corner assembly to help prevent any chafing. Jim's ensuring that it fits nicely, and he'll do a little trimming to make sure that it is a beautiful fit. Once the appropriate size is made, Jim will cut the other side to match. So that's all he's doing here, is cutting the other side to match. And then it fits nicely in that D-ring. Now it's okay if it's a little bit short, because when you do the baseball stitch along the edges, that'll pull it tightly. Now we have special tools here, but in lieu of this tool that Deb just used, you can use an awl. Then just take your pre-waxed twine and start your stitching. We put one row of stitches right behind the base of the D-ring to keep it from twisting and turning. Here she uses an awl because she only needs one hole to pre-punch the assembly for the insertion of her needle. In lieu of a palm, Deb doesn't like using a palm because she says they hurt her hand, but a palm is an excellent thing to use instead of an awl, because you can push this needle through quite nicely with an adjustable palm from Sailrite. Once that's done, she'll take the leather and position it over the D-ring, sandwiching the fabric. And then she'll use that same instrument with all the hole punches, because again she's going to be pushing the needle through this assembly and not using a palm. And she'll give it a few blows with a hammer, and that pre-punches the holes in the appropriate position. In lieu of this, you can use an awl. Make sure you use something on the bottom side so you don't hurt your table if it's a good table. And then she just inserts the needle through and starts her stitching again. Alright, now we'll just go back the other direction. Not too hard to do the stitching. Alright, when she's done, she'll take a hot knife, and that twine has been tucked, but she'll also take a hot knife and create a button by burning the end of it, and then just that keeps it from pulling out. Okay, now she'll work on the baseball stitches, again using an awl to create or to pre-punch a hole for the insertion of the needle and the pre-waxed twine. She'll tie a knot in her pre-waxed twine here at the end to keep it from pulling out, and that will be concealed inside of these two flaps when she creates the baseball stitch. Notice she starts from the bottom side and goes through the loop like that, and then she'll work from the inside of the leather here, come around, go through the back side again, and go through the loop. So you want to do that on both sides of the leather here. That's a great baseball stitch. When she finishes this, she'll go through the base of the D-ring here, and that conceals the twine without having to cut it and start over again. So she just went through there, and then she does a baseball stitch obviously to this side as well. And there's what it looks like when you're done. Just tuck the twine and then use a hot knife to create a button again to keep the twine from pulling out. So tuck it under a few stitches here, and your chafe protection with leather is now complete. For all of us here at Sailrite, thanks for watching. I'm Eric Grant. Enjoy your Spinnaker.